to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
The blackest dies.
Kill God.
Come on!
Make this asshole.
You're terminated, fucker.
Live or die, man.
Roads? When we're going, we don't need roads.
There can be only one.
Kill you all.
Goonies never say die.
We all need each other. As you can see, I'm not happy.
Are you not entertained?
This is friend.
Happy trails, Hans.
Welcome back to the Skewered Universe podcast. My name is Jeff,
I'm Leanne.
and this is take 2 for graduation day. Oh boy.
Let's just get it out of the way. We lost our recording, and so we have to redo it.
Yeah.
Good times.
Slight technical issue. I'm not sure what happened. I was saving the file, and my computer shut down. And of course, there was no recovery in WavePad when I restarted the machine.
So we want to let you guys know that the previous recording, we were on the edge of our seats the entire movie, trying to figure out who done it. Was it this person? Was it this person? Well, how come? What about this person? The entire movie. And that's kind of what made the episode. So now that we know who did it,
we're still going to do it in the same fashion, interstitial style, but we
I
feel
do
like
have
it's
some
losing a little
notes.
something.
I kept some of my notes. So
Yeah, it's just, I didn't even get mad about it. I was just upset because it was a really good recording.
yeah.
We had a lot of fun because we hadn't seen the movie. We're like, oh, I had theories and everything, but I mean, we'll touch on those at the end again. I'll let you know what I was thinking the first time we watched it last night.
Yeah.
So, should we do...
This has even happened once before.
Yeah.
Was it our very first episode?
Yeah, the very first episode. I was using Audacity, had no idea what I was doing, went to save it, and file didn't save. Just disappeared.
Good times.
But I also didn't know how to save the file properly, so it's kind of my own fault for not looking at a tutorial. So,
You know better now.
Oh, yeah. I'm like an expert audio engineer now. So to touch real quickly on what we've been doing, we've been rewatching episodes of The Drew Carey Show.
Yeah.
Early seasons are good. Later
Yeah.
seasons seem to lose something.
Yeah. No, there's a disconnect.
Yeah, and the character of Drew Carey, not Drew Carey the real person, the character in the show, it's kind of a POS.
Throughout the whole thing. He consistently lies.
Lies, manipulates, scams. It's really crazy when you watch it. You're like, oh.
Lock Kate in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah. So many things.
He doesn't take rejection well.
No. He thinks everyone should be devastated when he says, oh, no, I can't marry you right now. They're like, okay, well, that's fine. He's like, wait a minute. Aren't you going to cry or be... It's like, dude.
Where's the emotion? Did you care about me at all?
It's like, relax.
You were breaking up with her, bro.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I also talked about how I've been watching a lot of AEW, because I'm an AEW fan. I'm a wrestling fan first. I just happen to prefer AEW. I didn't get to see All Out, but I watched All In. That was a fantastic pay-per-view. Danielson winning the AEW title was great. Everything about that show to me was fantastic. And I'm going to do this again. I'm going to shout out some people on threads that I have great wrestling conversations with. iBlade Daily, Gina 6000, Neon Ghost. Go find them on threads. Check out iBlade Daily and Gina's podcast. Sit up. Jesus. Sit down, shut up, mark out podcast. Sit up, shut down. That makes no sense. Sit down, shut up, mark out podcast. Go check that out. They talk about all kinds of wrestling. There's no news, no bullshit talk about ratings and ticket sales and attendance and blah, blah. None of that bullshit that fuels the fires of tribalism. It's just about wrestling. So go check them out. And if you go to Neon Ghost's page, you can find the link to his store where he's got some Sicko Club merch. So support that effort. Oh, that's out of the way. Is there anything else?
Man. What did I say last time? Dateline.
Yeah, you've had Dateline on in the background to fall asleep to, because you found the 24/7 YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The music is soothing, but then I find myself just sitting here sometimes in the morning, you'll have it on. As you're sleeping, and I'm just sitting there listening, I'm like, huh, interesting. And I mentioned how I can't hear Keith Morrison without hearing Bill Hader. Mm-hmm. That's just, they are one and the same now in my head.
And Keith Morrison, I'm noticing, he cannot control his facial expressions, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious to watch his face. When he thinks someone's full of bullshit, you can see it in his face. You're like, oh shit.
That's funny. Of course, I haven't watched too much Dateline, so I'm not key to all his little facial nuances. So now I'm going to really have to
The fact that he leans on things.
He's always leaning on a fence or in a doorway, something.
It's a thing. It's a thing. He even did a response video for it, I think.
Yeah, didn't somebody make, like, t-shirts and mugs with him leaning on stuff or something? Like it was a meme at some point?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Alright, so we're going to do our best.
Yeah.
It's graduation day, like we said on episode 90 of Suspiria. That's what we're doing. It's from 1981.
There are 200 seniors at Midvale High, and 7 days till graduation. The class of 81 is going out in style, and they're having the time of their life. It's been a great year for Midvale High. The track team finished first in the state. Then again, Midvale always produces winners. Sally Prescott is the top gymnast in the school. She plans to go to college in the fall. Paula Kastoff won 5 cross-country events in the past year. She jogs to school every morning. Ralph Johnson is the football team's star halfback. Pete McFarland set the state record in the pole vault. Tony and Dolores were king and queen of the prom. The class of 81's being fitted for caps and gowns and coffins. There's 200 seniors at Midvale High and 7 days till graduation. Too bad there'll be no one to celebrate with. Graduation day.
This movie was directed by Herb Fried, and we have some notable people in the cast: Vanna White, Christopher George, Patch McKenzie, E. Danny Murphy, E.J. Peeker, Michael Pataki. Those are just a few of the characters in this, a few of the actors. I'm not going to name who they are because it was really hard to keep track of names.
It really was.
And I had to remember them as we went. It's like
Laura, Anna,
Laura,
Sally,
Ann, Sally,
Kevin,
Paula, Tony, Pete, Kevin, Coach Michaels, Principal
Cokehead, I don't know.
Italian last name that I can't remember.
Yeah.
Blondie. Dude, what the hell? McGregor. Yeah. That's just off the top of my head. The fact that I remembered any of those is amazing to me. And we were watching this on Peacock. So if you have that service, I love that you keep making that joke.
Well, you know.
Graduation Day, available streaming now on The Cock.
And they say cock a lot.
I don't have anything else to say.
No.
That's pretty much it. It's a slasher from the 80s. We're going to watch it. Do interstellar interstitials. We are going to hope that we
Interstellar interstitials.
If you're not sure what that is, find out right now.
What are interstellar interstitials? This is a rather different movie review format where Jeff and Leon will pick a movie that neither of them have seen or at least one of them has not seen. Then, they will watch the movie in real time, breaking every 15 minutes to give their thoughts on the movie to that point. At the conclusion of the film, they will give their final thoughts, recommendations, ratings, and discuss any interesting information about the movie in general. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast already in progress.
Woohoo, I'm excited.
And we'll be back right after this.
I've never seen this before.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Alright, so we're the first 15 minutes in, again, of graduation day. And, Leanne, you have notes that you took from before, so I'm going to let you have the floor.
So we didn't realize it was Lloyd Kaufman and Trauma associated.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I think they either distributed the film or it was something they may have held. I don't think they held back it. I think they just had distribution rights.
And Linnea Quigley's in it.
Yeah. Apparently a little bit of trivia. She replaced another actress that didn't want to do nudity.
Oh, well, there you go. She's always willing.
Yeah. So if you see a blonde wearing the number 46, she's mostly cut out of the film. Because that's the role that Linnea Quigley took over.
There you go.
Yep.
So, young crowds cheering, funky music. So there's a lap race, shot put, young crowds cheering, funky music. It's a young people montage.
Exactly.
It basically opens like an 80s after-school special show.
Yeah.
And we're realizing the second watch that the reason for that is because it's clips of throughout the movie.
Yeah. It's intercut with what's happening at this, like, track meet. But then there's clips of things later from the film. We're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. We're like, what? Oh, there's that. Oh, hey, what about... Hey, okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, so Laura is winning the race. She wins first place. As soon as she wins, she screams and collapses. And everyone stops cheering. Slow-mo, crowd shots, she dies.
Yeah.
What's his face is
Kevin.
holding her. Kevin. Her boyfriend.
Yeah, does like a baseball slide to get to her first.
And then we get on a truck drive with a driver asking the passenger tons of questions because he sees that the passenger's paper, it's a newspaper of the young girl that died. And it turns out it's a woman in a naval uniform. And he starts coming on to her and being vulgar, and he starts groping her. And she grabs his junk and says, "You'll be eating your balls for brunch." Yeah. And he's wearing this lavender outfit. Like he's trying to mimic Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it's very strange, this choice of this neckerchief.
It's so bad.
Oh, God. The fact that he's, like, grabbing her thigh, it's like, ew.
Yeah, so then we see a young woman jogging in a wooded area with some really... What kind of headphones?
They were the old, like, AM/FM radio headphones.
Yeah, because that's smart.
Yeah.
And we see shots suggesting that she's being followed.
Mm-hmm.
We come to call it killer POV shots.
Yeah. We see Anne notice her from wherever she gets out of the truck.
Yeah, and she's staring. Creep number 2. The truck driver was number 1. She's number 2.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I mean, she's looking at her like...
She's just staring at her. Ma'am.
Man, this is a Wendy's.
This is a high school, ma'am. Yeah, so then a gloved person pulls her hair from behind and stabs her and slits her throat. As her rock music plays, the camera pans from her headphones to her dead body and then just stops on her ass.
For a good long, shot of just, like
a good 5 seconds. 5 Mississippis.
Yeah. Like, hey, we got this young actress in these somewhat tight track shorts. Let's get a shot of this ass, 'cause she's filling them out. Jeez.
And then we get back to school, and we're on the track. Cross country is taking photos, and they want to wait for Laura.
No,
Paula. They want to wait for Paula to come back from her jog.
Right.
To be in the photos, too. The coach is not having it. He's a busy guy, busy schedule. He's not having it.
We got things to do. We're just take the picture.
And in the second viewing, that one male student was starting to call him out for being the one that supposedly killed Laura.
Yeah, because the coach said something to him and he goes, "Oh, it's not like you haven't done anything worse. Or you haven't done a lot worse." It's like,
and the coach looks at him like, "Oh, are we starting this?"
It's like, all right.
Yeah. Let's see. One of the dudes has his hands on the chick's neck.
Yeah, that is Tony.
Tony.
He's got a big shit-eating grin because he has his hands on Sally's shoulders first. Not in the manner of, like, I'm gonna choke this bitch out, but in one of those playful, like, this is gonna be in the yearbook. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Like, he's a goof.
Yeah. Then, the naval woman arrives home to her parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom greets her. She's a normal mom. Tell her she looks like she's lost weight. She's like, "Mom, I'm the same weight for 10 years.
Typical mom things to do.
Yeah, well, guess what? Ronald, the stepdad, is a dick.
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
He is, yeah, he's...
Immediately
Creep number 3. Creep number 3.
That mom just goes, "Oh, hey, Ronald, Anne's here." And he goes, "No shit, Sherlock."
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, so apparently he and her have this history, and it is very aggressive and nasty.
It seems like he provokes it out of her. Like, he's, like, just immediately confrontational.
Oh, he hates her.
All you do is cause trouble. Dude, relax.
Apparently he turned her bedroom into a dark room.
Oh, yeah, because he's a really good photographer. That's his wank den.
So then we go to Laura's room, and she's got photos on the wall, a record player, Bee Gees poster, a rocking chair, and like a pink bed. It's essentially a very normal, basic teenage bedroom.
Yeah, it wasn't over the top like you see in a lot of 80s movies.
Yeah, that's it. That's my notes.
Yeah. And when Anne gets to the room, she starts, she tosses her purse on the bed. She's looking around.
Oh, yeah.
Opens up her luggage. Pair of black gloves, gray tracksuit.
Same one.
Same as the killer was wearing.
Yeah, so we're learning that the movie is purposely placing these things so that you're confused as to who it could be.
Yeah.
And this particular one is obvious.
Because even if you watch the opening, the coach is wearing that same gray tracksuit, which I didn't catch on the first viewing. And I'm seeing now, I'm like, they were even, okay. Yeah, so they're planting seeds early on for who it could be right away.
Yeah.
Which is smart, because then it keeps you, as we experienced first time, who is it? What's going on? All these different ways it could go. All right. Ready to jump back in?
Yeah, well, you don't want to give your thoughts about what you're seeing so far?
Oh, I enjoy it so far.
Okay, me too.
I mean,
the first time we're watching it, this is great. We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's great.
Welcome to NPR Horror Podcast. No, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far on this second watch. It's hard to have fresh thoughts when we're re-recording, and we already kind of gave so much that first time around.
Well, but the way I'm seeing it this time, it is fresh because now that we know who the killer is, we're seeing the little things that we missed the first time.
Like, immediately I'm noticing Kevin has a weird look on his face right from the get-go.
I'll get to it later. Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll touch on the things we're picking up this time. But yeah, they even made sure to close up on the stopwatch to show when the coach is timing Laura, yelling at her, 30 seconds, Laura, 30 seconds.
And I'm also noticing it looks like a different stopwatch than the killer uses. The killer looks like it's on a chain or something, and the coach, it's hanging from his neck off of it looks like it's leather or something.
Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I will.
Keep an eye on that. All right. You guys can go shot put and pole vault and whatever. And we'll see you right after this.
Hiya, hiya, hiya. They're shrimply delicious. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You'll go for that mouth-watering, taste-tempting, meaty shrimp mixture all wrapped up in a crispy noodle jacket. It's a treat you can't beat. So come on, join the folks that are getting fresh, crispy Flavo shrimp rolls now at the snack bar. They're shrimply delicious.
Another 15 minutes in, we're getting more of Anne and Ronald's relationship at the beginning, but you have notes.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and go through your notes, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
So after she goes up to the bedroom, stepdad Ronald comes in to insult her, berate her, threaten her, name-calling. He's great. She stands up for herself, and he leaves. Then we see a gloved person going into a dark locker room.
The girls' locker room, to be
Yeah.
exact.
They go to a specific locker and pull out a photo of the
track team.
The track team. We see that there's already a red X, and they mark a second one.
Yeah. Marking it in lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately it's like, is this a female killer? Or what?
I think it's an intentional throw-off.
Yeah.
Or it's Laura's lipstick.
Mm-hmm. That could very well be, and I didn't even think about that.
Then we see Sally walking down a wooded path, as they all do, apparently. Yeah. And of course we see killer POV. Anne walks up to her, startling her. And she's like, oh, hey, I was looking for the auditorium. By the way, that necklace is beautiful. By the way, you have gorgeous eyes. They remind me of my dead sister. And she's like, I gotta go, bye.
Yeah. Anne's coming off really creepy here.
She's coming off strong and creepy.
Like, doesn't even say, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so. Laura was my sister. I'm here for this. Just, oh, I was looking for the auditorium. Grabs her necklace, which I didn't catch on the first viewing, but now Sally says it's an honor award for track, which makes sense later in the film, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
And they just are going, oh, you have such beautiful eyes. They're like my sister. She's dead now. Okay, creep.
Okay, well, I gotta go. She just
walks off like, I'm getting away from this fucking weird ass lady.
Well, she eventually, Anne makes it into the auditorium, and they're doing a rehearsal graduation. We come across some of the choir members doing their performance, whatever.
Right.
And the principal is on the stage, and he tries to get everybody's attention. Well, there's feedback from the microphone, the kids are being rowdy, no one's listening to him, he's threatening them, he's like, do you guys want to graduate or not?
This is for you. It's not for me. With his tie tucked into his pants. Oh,
ew.
God.
Yeah. Let's see. Anne walks in, and Sally tells her friend, that's the chick. She's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, she's telling her friends about this weird encounter she had.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Well, the principal mentions Anne and Laura, and how they're going to be doing a moment of silence, and blah, blah, blah. Well, afterwards, Anne wants to talk to Kevin, the boyfriend, but he's like, catch me after school, bye. And she's like, wait. And she's surrounded by other students, so she can't, run after him.
Exactly. He had written her a letter, apparently, letting her know what was going on.
And, she decides she's going to go to his house.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well, no one answers. She just makes herself right at home, walks in.
Rings the doorbell, no answer in like 2 seconds. She's like, well, I'm just going to go in.
And we see killer POV from up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, what's going to happen? We've never seen this before. We don't know what's going to happen. She also sees a photo album with photos of Laura. Not only of Laura, but of Laura doing track. And not only of Laura doing track, but of Laura doing track the day she died.
Yeah, that final run.
Yeah. And so that was creepy.
Mm-hmm.
She sees Grandma in a very eclectic living room.
Oh my god, this is like a yard sale hoarder's dream.
She's watching a static TV, screaming randomly.
Get out of here! I ain't got nothing, go!
Get! Fuck. Well, let's see. Oh yeah, I think Kevin just pops up.
Yeah, he comes down and is at the photo album. Like, oh hey, Ann.
He's like, oh hey, by the way, my grandma's harmless. And
completely deaf, can't hear a thing.
So they talk about Laura, and she gives him Laura's graduation present.
Mm-hmm.
Which was what?
It was a necklace.
The necklace.
Yeah. It's like round pendant necklace, and he just lays it on the photo album.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks.
And so it's, just to add to the shrine of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Then we see Sally walking down a hallway.
Mm-hmm.
She goes into the locker room, opens the locker, and we see killer POV. Dun dun dun. What's gonna happen? Well, she undresses, we see titties, then she puts on a red bodysuit, and she's about to go do her gymnastics.
Yeah.
Except the lights go out. Someone turned out the lights. So she starts wandering around trying to figure out what happened, and stumbles into 2 girls that are silly, weird. How would you describe them?
As you said in the previous recording that we lost, just typical teenage girls.
Yeah. They're like, oh my god, you're weird. What's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah, Sally's like, what are you doing sneaking around like that? I'm like, sneaking around? What are you talking about? You're crazy. You're out to lunch. God, you're so
you're so out to lunch.
This is where we first see Vanna White. She's like, oh, you startled me. I peed my pants a little. They're like, oh, you did? She goes, well, not really. And then Sally's pointing at her going, yes, you did. She's like, no, I didn't. You're so weird. God, shut up. It's like a believable interaction.
You're so out to lunch. You're a wacko.
And all we're left with is now Sally is getting ready to do her routine. She goes out to the floor. There's a photographer there who's going to take photos of her for the paper. And he says, hey, can you get up on the bar and do a few turns so I can get some cool shots?
Yeah, he looks like he would be grateful for maybe a handful.
Yeah. And the coach is standing
of photos.
Yeah, handful. No, the coach seems like he wants a handful.
Yes.
We'll get there when it happens, but the coach turns around angrily and is like, no, Sally, you're going to get up there and do your routine. She's like, I don't feel up to it today. He's like, you're going to get your little ass up there and do it. He came to get pictures and we're going to give him some pictures. It's like, dude, like, we're only a couple months removed from Laura's death. If she's not feeling it, she's not feeling it. Plus, they're a day away from graduating. Fuck off. Like, I don't even know why they're doing all this the day before graduation, apparently. It's like everything crammed into the day before. It's like, does this school not know how to plan? Or is this how all Catholic high schools are? Because I'm really wondering, like, are they just shitty at planning things out?
Is this a Catholic high school?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because I caught when the principal was talking about what they were going to do. He's like, I'll hand you your diploma, you'll do this. And once that's done, the Monsignor will recite the benediction. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a Catholic high school.
Doesn't seem like it.
No. Until later in the film, these kids don't seem to go home. They seem to live near the school or on campus.
They all seem kind of rich.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, Kevin's obviously of money because he lives in a freaking really nice house.
A really nice, really big house that is packed in Grandma's living area.
With, like, fucking marble statues and shit.
It's almost like a museum was going out of business, and she was able to go there and, like, buy stuff and just put it around her TV.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest collection of shit. Or maybe she was, like, one of those people that went to storage auctions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, we've got these marble statues of David or whatever. She's like, I want them.
Yeah.
Put them in my house. Get them in my house now. But it's been really interesting. We picked up when the killer pulls the photo out of the locker, Laura's face has already been X'd out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I didn't catch that on the first watch.
We also didn't catch that we see the killer.
Yeah, when Sally is walking around the locker room area trying to figure out who turned the lights out, there's a mirror to, like, an office area. And the killer is, like, sidestepping in this, like, squatting style. She's not looking there, and he's sidestepping, and you can almost make out a face, but not really.
Mm.
It's like, that's kind of, you would think she would turn and, like, feel like somebody there, but
me and you didn't even catch it, and we were looking right at it.
First time, yeah. I was like, oh shit, the killer's right there.
Right there.
They are right there, plain as day, just waiting. So yeah, there's just these little things that are happening. It's like, okay, on a second watch you start to pick up, and I like that, because it's things on a first watch you're not looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is really interesting to go back with a second watch and be like, what did we see the first time? Oh shit, didn't catch that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really, really interesting.
Yeah, it worked out.
And they really went with Anne coming off as creepy and weird.
Yeah.
To give the vibe like, oh, why did she really come back aside from, picking up Laura's diploma and trophy?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like so over the top, it's just like, here's this person her sister came back, but why did she really come back? Why is she writing a letter to Kevin? Why does she want to see him after school? What's going on?
Why does she have an outfit just like the killer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, she's added to the creep list. I'm starting to keep track of how many.
Nice. That's very good. So, I'm excited to see what else we find out. What else we pick up that we didn't see on the first watch.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting way to do this. I don't plan on this being routine going forward, but
can you imagine?
Oh
can you imagine if you lose this recording?
If I lose this recording, we're
done.
We're gonna scrap graduation day for this one, and we'll just record.
It's cursed.
What is up for the next episode, which we'll touch on at the end, because I just realized now we didn't do that at last night's recording.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to wrap it up quick because it got late. So, Leanne.
What?
Should we get up on the bars and do a few turns?
I don't really feel like doing it, but okay.
Get your ass up there.
Okay.
We'll talk to you guys after this.
It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission.
Ice cream, candy, lemonade too. And there's a hot dog waiting for you.
The popcorn's popping and it's ready to go. You know all the great food is stealing the show.
Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
Pardon me, boy.
Yeah, baby.
Will you take me to the snack bar?
You know what I like. Everything's ready when the first meal's over. There's nothing like a pizza with a ice cold cola. Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission.
Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
It's intermission.
Another 15 minutes into graduation day.
And we're back.
And we're back. And better than ever. Oh, what's wrong with me?
I didn't take notes this time.
No. And that's fine. We get Sally jumping up to do a routine, and we're seeing her having flashbacks to her encounter with Anne, which is intercut with images of Paula being murdered. She loses her concentration, falls. Coach Michaels just lays into her.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? She's like, I don't know. He goes, you broke your concentration. That's what you're doing. Get back up there. Reluctantly, she goes up, does her routine, goes for the dismount, falls again. But while she's up on the routine, Leanne, what do we notice about the coach?
He's staring at her, and like, he's like, at one point he licks his lips, and it's like, ew. And even the photographer catches it, and he's looking at him like, ew.
Yeah. I caught it this time around. The photographer looks over once and is like, okay, goes back to taking photos, and then looks up again like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
He just stares at him for a good, like, minute, like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? This coach, like, he's got lust in his ass for this girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's my impression of Macho Man. It's terrible, I know, but yeah, it's really gross the way he's just leering at her the whole time, like, yeah.
Being so angry and controlling and mean, just for him to lick his fucking lips. And you can see, like, a sparkle in his eye, like, he's lusting after her. That's how I take it.
Yeah. Yeah, some people might be like, oh, he's just really proud of her doing her routine. It's like, no.
It's weird. No, you don't lick your lips when you're proud.
Yeah. If anything, he could have just been, like, applauding and been like, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
No, instead, he's quietly leering at her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, creepily smiling. It's like, ugh. It's like, no wonder Tony in the beginning was like, you're a piece of shit, dude.
Yep.
So she goes to do her dismount. She falls again on her back, gets up, runs out of there. Like, you know what? I'm fed up with this shit. Photographer's like, hey, coach, it's okay. I got a bunch. It's like, shut up. Go on. Tells the photographer to just leave. And is just angry. It's like, dude, maybe you need to go smoke out or something, dude. Because you're about to give yourself an aneurysm or something.
Yeah.
So we meet up with Sally again. She's in the locker room, shaving her legs in the sink. You know, just doing her thing. Then we get a killer POV.
Dun dun dun. I wonder who it is.
At this point, we have no idea.
No, clueless.
Killer walks over to a locker. Gloved hand opens it. Takes out a fencing foil. And proceeds to go around the back way to walk up behind Sally as she's shaving her legs. She holds up the razor at one point and goes, this is for you, coach. And she sit on it and rotate. Which makes sense. I do the same thing because Coach Michaels is an asshole.
Yup.
Sally happens to catch a glimpse in the mirror of someone behind her. Turns around and is like, what are you doing? I didn't catch this. The killer is toying with her. He's moving the fencing for like in a circle and then back and forth side to side.
Mm.
And as I stated before, that you guys didn't hear, obviously, but man, you heard it. She has no fight or flight.
No.
She freezes.
Yeah.
And then the killer just jabs this foil right through her throat. And it's
to the back of her neck.
It's so fucking cool.
It's so gross.
The back of her neck. You just see like this spurt of blood. And the next cut is really good because they cheated it in such a way. You see part of Sally's face in the shot, but the reflection of the back of her head in the mirror is where the foil came through the back of her neck. So whatever dummy or prop they used, they cheated it in such a way. So you see the actress, and then you see the reflection of the back of the dummy's head, and it's done really well.
It's very well done.
And I forgot to mention, while Sally's doing the second part of her routine, I'm going to backtrack here real quick. She's having flashes again of all this stuff, and it's intercut with scenes of Killer POV holding the picture again and Xing out Sally's face as the camera pans from Paula, who was killed already, the blonde, to Sally, and then her face gets X'd out.
Before she's even done with her routine.
Yeah. And we get the infamous music teacher, Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, he's another creep.
He's like a bad lounge act that became the music teacher.
And somehow Vanna White's character is drooling all over him. Sally's drooling all over him.
Oh, Sally's not there. Sally's dead.
I mean,
I don't know the other two girls' names.
Oh, somebody was.
I don't know. It was Vanna White and her friend that encountered Sally in the locker room and one other random girl.
Yeah.
And then Dolores, Linnea Quigley's character, walks in. But this guy's singing, and they're like, oh, what was it like to be in the business? And he's like, oh, showbiz, I had to leave. Well, I didn't really leave, but, you know, you had to kiss Bud. No, he's bragging to high school girls about when he was a famous musician or whatever. It's like, dude, you're a predator.
Yeah. And they eat it up for some reason.
Yeah.
For some reason, they just love him.
I wish we could go on tour with you, Mr. Roberts. He tells two of the girls, I'll see you and you in the fall. And proceeds to tell Dolores, who is Linnea Quigley's character, yeah, I'm not going to pass you. You're going to have to do summer school. And then, I'll show you your records. And she stops him. And you see her, she's not facing us. Her back's that you can see she starts undoing her sweater. He's like, oh, not here. Someone might see us. Wait, no, don't do that. This is inappropriate.
She gets up and walks the door. Yeah. Locks the door.
Comes back, opens her sweater. Titties out. And he's like, huh? She grabs his face and pulls it to her chest, but pulls off his hairpiece in the process. Which is fucking hilarious. So the principal buzzes his secretary with the intercom. Hey, can you come in here quick as a bunny? She's like, quick as a what? He goes, a bunny. Chop, chop. Grab it, You can tell she's, over his bullshit. She goes in there, and he immediately, gets all close to her, hey. Kisses her, but she's got her arms up defensively, get the fuck back, dude. She's like, all right, what do you got for me? He goes, here, take this tape. I got 3 letters on one side that need to go to these 3 departments. And then there's 3 more on the other side, and those need to go to these departments by tomorrow. She's like, dude. She's like, I've already got a ton of other stuff to do. And in tomorrow's graduation day, what the hell? He goes, oh, I know, but if anyone can do it, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, fine, I'm going to be up all night doing this now.
Half the night.
And he just leans into her this line. He's like, well, how about I come over later with a bottle of wine after you're finished? She's like, you're a bastard.
Make it midnight.
Yeah. It's like, she has this moment of all right, well, I guess I want to keep this job. It's almost what it seems like. It's like, make it midnight. And she walks out and he does this honk honk motion with his hands I'm going to get to feel some titties. Like, dude, are you an adult or are you one of these high school boys? What the hell?
And we see him take something from
he walks over to his coat hanging on the back of the door. And we don't see what it is. He's got it hidden in his hands for a moment. Goes back to his desk. It's a switchblade. He cuts up an apple like a goddamn psychopath.
Yeah.
Not even in half and in quarters, in the most random cutting an apple into thirds I've ever seen. Wipes off the knife, folds it back up, puts it in a drawer. What's in this drawer, Leanne?
Other knives.
And what else?
A stopwatch.
Yeah. Which I didn't notice last night when
Spooky.
we were watching.
Oh, no.
Another stopwatch.
Oh.
Just like the killer used when he was killing Sally.
Crazy.
The killer, just before he walked out to confront Sally, clicked the stopwatch to start going. Now...
Hey everybody, Jeff here. We forgot to mention that there is a scene before the park where Mr. Roberts starts off playing his piano, hears a tapping in the pipes, decides to go check it out, has a brief interaction with Coach Michaels, where Michaels just basically says, yeah, you go do that, after he says he heard some tapping in the pipes, and Michaels heard not a damn thing. Roberts makes his way to the boiler room, continues to hear something, and then a tape starts playing of his encounter with Dolores. She's kind of making fun of him in the talk. He's thinking he's being seductive, talking about his little cobra and all this. He finds the tape recorder, shuts off the tape. He's already seen a shadow move by while he's down there, so he knows there's somebody there. Turns out it's 2 students who are blackmailing him. He sees them run out and the door closed behind him, yells that he knows who they are, and that ends that scene. I wanted to put it in there because it leads to Dolores talking about her encounter with Roberts and how she's going to ultimately graduate. We just glossed over it in the recording. Keep in mind, this was day 2. This was back-to-back nights of us watching the movie and trying to record this episode. So apologies, and back to the regular episode.
We're in the park. Dolores is sitting there with Tony. They're smoking a joint. She's asking him about this other school, if he really screwed all the girls there. And he's like, well, this girl Nancy. She's like, oh, Nancy, she was my best friend. What'd she... And he's like, well, yeah, what'd she say about me? She goes, not much, because I think you were a boyfriend-girlfriend. Yeah, we were boyfriend-girlfriend at the time. Blah, 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 blah. But all the while, we're getting a killer POV watching them from behind.
Mm-hmm.
They're just talking, and we stopped where Dolores tells Tony, I'm so horny. Yeah. And he's like, it's time for that later. Like, wow, you have amazing self-control. But he's probably high as shit, so he's like, I can't get it up right now, I'm too high. And that's where we have stopped right now.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything I caught this time.
No.
Other than how much creepier the coach is leering at Sally doing a routine.
Yeah.
It's like, you just imagine he's like, ugh, I wish she was doing this naked. Like, ugh. Creep.
Yeah.
And the fact that the photographer's like, I don't want to be here. This is uncomfortable. I've got my shots. I'm leaving. It's interesting to watch this a second time right away, back to back when we watched it last night. I don't know. I'm still having the same feelings. Not so much of like, where is it going? Who's going to do what? But the same feeling of fun watching it that I had last night so far.
Yeah.
So, I think with that said,
let's get back to it.
Let's do it. Talk to you guys in just a bit.
Oh, the time is now, the time is here. Now's the time for a bite of cheer. A tasty light where the price is right. Well, look at here, you'll dig this sight. The moment's handy for a piece of candy. Just name your brand, they're all so grand. Hey, what do you think of a nice cool drink? Or a big box filled with a popcorn thrill? Let's taste what's neat with an ice cream treat. Refresh yourself, it's time to eat. So come on, folks, let's join the band as we all head for the refreshment stand.
We're back after another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Things are picking up a little.
Yeah.
Catching more things we didn't catch on a first watch, but let's recap with you guys from where we left off last time.
Yeah.
So we pick up with Tony and Dolores in the park, and she's talking about how she's horny, and he's like, it's time for that later. And she's like, but I'm horny now, and starts to undo his belt buckle. And we get more killer POV. Turns out it's not the killer, though. It's campus security or police officer who patrols the campus named McGregor.
It could be the killer.
Could be the killer, we're not sure. And he catches him, and he's like, oh, so do you guys really want to get busted before graduation? Smoking dope out here? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you're a real asshole. You're a narc. They make a joke about, what was it they said? Narcs mate with them, climb up their own assholes and mate with themselves.
What do you get?
McGregor! And he's like, if I catch you smoking dope on campus again, your ass is mine. And they just laugh him off and leave. So this guy walks over behind a tree, takes out his gun, pulls a joint out of the revolver chamber, looks around to make sure nobody's watching, lights it up and starts smoking out.
What a hypocrite!
Fucking hypocrite. Oh, man. After this, we see a pair of women's feet pan up, somebody getting ready to walk into Coach Michael's woodworking shop. Well, it's Anne. She goes through his office into the actual woodworking classroom.
Where it's dark. No one's in there.
She doesn't turn on any lights or anything. She's looking for Michael's. And as she gets further into the room, one of the table saws just like sparks and comes to life. And then a bandsaw does the same thing on the other side of the room. Freaks her out. Meanwhile, and I don't know if you caught this, I didn't catch it until this watch. Michaels just casually walks up to the door, leaving the classroom, and just watches for a second. And then comes in, all irate. What the hell are you doing in here? She's like, I was looking for you. And he's like, no, these are precision instruments. What are you doing? She's like, I didn't touch them.
I didn't come here to play games.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't touch your equipment. Like, looks around sarcastically. He's like, oh, you didn't? She goes, no, I can't. He goes, so what are you here for? She goes, I came for an answer. He goes, oh, what? Because one kid has a blood clot, and then I'm out on my ass? So right there, I didn't pick up. He's already been fired.
Yeah.
He goes and she's like, tells him all this stuff like, you're kind of a piece of shit. He's like, you didn't care for these kids. And he's like, no, I love Laura. She goes, loved her? You're a son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You're a bastard. And he's like, I loved all these kids. I gave my life to them. I had 4 years with Laura. I molded her. I made her into this. She was precision and power. And Anne goes, oh, like a machine?
Mm-hmm.
And he just kind of goes, okay, well, what did you really come here for? She goes, an answer, and I think I got it.
You'll see me again.
He goes, yeah, I guess we will. And she leaves. And you can see in that moment he's really defeated. Like his whole life was coaching. That's all he cared about. And coaching these kids. He's still a creep.
Yep. Still an asshole.
But you can see that like his life is just destroyed at this point.
Yeah.
over the fact that he pushed one student too far and a blood clot leading to a heart attack ended his career. Now we cut to one of the more ridiculous scenes in the movie. But it shows these kids are like preparing the auditorium for something, and there's a group with this guy playing guitar and Kevin spaz dancing behind him while playing harmonica. They're singing about graduation day and what they're gonna do.
I believe it's an Elvis song.
It's quite possible. It sounds like it, and I think Kevin is even doing some Elvis dance moves.
Yeah.
And everybody's just eating it up, having a good time, and all the students are just talking and taking photos, talking about what they're going to do over the summer and, graduation coming up. They're just having a good time. Oh, I did it again! I missed the Ralph scene. I did this the last time! Okay, so right after Anna confronts Michaels, we see Ralph, who's decked out in football gear. He's tossing a football back and forth, making his way through this wooded area again, like every other student on this campus, because it's the only way to get there. And he runs into Vanna White and her friend, and they're giving him shit like, "Oh, you going to the TV station to be on TV?"
They basically don't take anything seriously.
Yeah, they do not care.
They're never in class, it appears.
They're like, "We don't care. We're young and we're pretty. Who gives a fuck?"
Yeah.
So they take his ball from him. He's like, "Cool, give me my ball. My public awaits." So Vanna White's laughing. He picks up this other girl over her shoulder, and she chucks the ball into these bushes behind her. And he's like, "Oh, what the hell, man?" They're like, "Ha ha, go get your ball, Ralph." Something like that. So he makes his way into the bushes, and we see the gray sweatsuit, black gloved hands, holding the football, which has a giant spike coming out of it. This thin, it almost looks like the blade of the sword of the fencing foil.
Yeah.
With a cork on the end, the killer removes the cork and tucks the football in a way so the blade is sticking out behind them. Ralph comes through and he's like, "Oh, hey, give me my ball." Then we see the killer looks like they take a few steps back. He's like, "Come on, I really need my ball. Just give me my ball. What are you doing?" Ralph gets his ball. Killer throws the most perfect spiral, as I said before, that I have ever fucking seen, and nails him right in the gut. And as Ralph falls over, you see this blade has just gone straight through his back.
Yeah, he falls face first on the ground, and you see it just sticking right up.
And of course, he does the last second, look up, and opens his mouth, and blood comes out. Falls down dead. Then we see, all the students together. Cut to a scene with Coach Michaels outside, and Dolores is telling him, "Oh, hey, Coach, I'm really sorry, I really am." She kisses him on the cheek and leaves.
Like, what is she sorry for?
Yeah. But watching this whole time and walking up to the coach is McGregor, the cop. And he's like, "Oh, guess you really ruined the good thing you had with all these fine young things around you, huh?"
Too bad it didn't work out for you.
Yeah. The coach is like, "What do you want?" The coach doesn't even have time. No, the coach didn't even say anything to him. He just looks him up and down and walks away.
Yeah.
McGregor's like, "I can make your life real bad. I can hurt you if I want to, if I put my mind to it. Son of a bitch." It's like, he's always tough when the people are leaving. So it's already like, okay, you're the inept cop in this movie.
Yeah, who no one takes seriously. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a gun, but nobody cares.
He had a badge at some point.
We'll figure that out later. So after McGregor confronts Michaels, it's that evening. The auditorium has been turned into a concert hall. There are students skating around, which originally I said was a roller rink. It's not. You pointed out, Leanne.
That I noticed it was in school, and that they just had bleachers piled into the middle, and that's where the band is standing and playing.
Yeah, they made a makeshift stage out of some of the bleachers and stuff.
Yeah. So they turned the auditorium into a roller rink.
Yeah. So we're seeing students. This is what the students were prepping while the one guy was playing guitar and Kevin was playing harmonica. So we see Dolores walk up to Tony. He's talking with this other girl. She's like, "Oh, I leave for a bit. Now you're talking to Sue?" He's like, "What? We're just friends." And she's like, "Okay." We get the music from the band. They're playing this song. I think I'm still not sure, because I'm hearing Gangster Walk and Nature Walk. We had this discussion.
I think it's Gangster Walk because they're dressed like 50s gangsters.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it would
considering the path all the students walk through.
That's why I thought it was Nature Walk.
Either way works. We're pretty sure it's Gangster Walk. They're playing this song. Tony breaks out into just starts breakdancing.
Breakdancing / whatever the Jewish dance is, or he's dancing not like a typical teenager.
Yeah, he's doing all this. It's like it doesn't really fit the music, but I guess because you can do it, the filmmakers were like, "Yeah, go ahead, knock yourself out."
Yeah, I don't know.
And Linnea Quigley is like laughing, so I don't know if it's real, if she's laughing, or if they were like, "Hey, laugh at him while he's doing this."
Yeah.
She's like smiling and laughing. Cut to outside, there's a couple of students walking by, boyfriend, girlfriend, and the guy's like, they're kind of being handsy, playing grab ass, and the girl keeps moving his hand off her ass. But we notice before they walk by, McGregor's behind a tree watching the auditorium.
Yep.
As these students walk by, he is ducked behind the tree. You just see a part of his face. He walks out and starts following the students. I'm like,
yep.
Another creep.
Yep.
You're pegging the creep meter.
Yep. Trust me, he's on the list.
Yeah. Dolores and Tony decide they're going to walk out of the dance. They're going to go sit outside in nature, along this pathway. They start kissing. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do something. And Tony's like, hold on. I got to go do something. He goes off to take a piss. And Dolores is like, oh, it must be nice to be a boy. You can just pee wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Tony tell her?
The world is my toilet. Romantic.
She has this look on her face, and she's just kind of like, oh, great, sweet talker. Like,
well,
okay.
But at the same time, she's also got this anxious is not the word, but antsy for him to come back.
She's like, can you just hurry up?
You can tell she really likes him.
Yeah.
It's cute.
So he walks over to do his thing. He's not facing us, and we get another killer POV.
Dun, dun, dun!
And there's this, rumbling noise that starts happening that starts drowning out the music. And we see the killer is brandishing a sword, pointing it at Tony's back.
Poor Tony.
Dolores is like, come on, hurry up. Tony no more turns... I don't even think he turns around. He doesn't even see it coming. He gets decapitated by this sword.
Yeah.
Just head cut off.
That's where we left off.
That's where he left off. Dolores is just like, Tony, where are you at? She's getting ready to get up to look for him at this point, I believe. That's so many little things. I didn't notice McGregor was creeping on the auditorium and then following students into the woods.
Yeah, I don't think I remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. There was... A first-time watch, there's so much going on, and you're trying to keep track of who everyone is and who could be the killer, where are they at in this time. And one thing I'll say right here is I told you I appreciated there was a cut from when Ralph gets murdered to to all the students in the auditorium, and we see Kevin is there with his friend who's playing guitar. I was like, I like that cut because it immediately goes, oh, this is probably happening right around the time Ralph's being killed, so it can't be Kevin, right? You're thinking, okay, so it really can't be him the way it's cut together. You're thinking these things are happening way too close together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the way of going, no, but probably yeah.
Maybe.
It could be the coach. Maybe it's McGregor.
Who knows?
You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. It's really interesting to do it like this, and it's not by choice. It's by necessity, considering I bumped something on the keyboard and made my computer shut down last night.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I think you won't be doing that again.
No, I'm going to take more precautions when I save this one.
Yeah.
Be very careful. I'm not going to move my keyboard from where it's at.
Yeah.
Sit at my desk, save it, watch the bar, slowly move to save it, and then we'll be good. I also want to point out when we're recording this, it is Friday the 13th, so happy Friday the 13th to all of you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to listen to this later, but fuck it. Happy Friday the 13th anyway. So, Leanne, should we gangster walk back into the movie?
Let's force walk.
All right.
I mean nature. I mean nature walk. What the fuck? God.
I wasn't going to correct you. I was just going to let it go. So we're going to gangster nature walk, and you guys can, go make out in the woods. We'll be back.
Visit our snack bar and treat yourself to some delicious Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches. Cook the Castleberry way, slowly over open pits of glowing charcoal, then seasoned with a sauce that's zesty, yet delightfully mild to please the entire family. Also at the snack bar, you'll find popcorn and soft drinks and candy and French fries to go with your Castleberry's barbecue sandwiches. There's plenty of time before the movie starts, so visit our snack bar right now for Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches.
Still plenty of time to come and be served at the refreshment center before showtime.
15 more minutes down. It's picking up pretty fast here.
Yeah, things are escalating quite a bit.
Yes. So, you have some notes, you said. You want to go over those, and then we'll do fill in?
Sure. They're very basic.
Alrighty.
So, we see the decapitation, right?
Yes.
Pretty sick. The music continues, and Linnea sees his head in the tree.
Yeah, she goes to find Tony, and his head is hanging in the tree.
Sick.
So
and it looks like it looks like the head of like a person that's been dead for like days. It's really gross looking.
It's really pale, and the decapitation just happened, so I don't think the blood would have drained out that quickly.
No, but it still looks pretty good.
It looks like the actor. It's really well done. For such a low budget, I commend them for pulling that off.
Yeah. So then a man wearing fencing gear starts chasing after her.
Mm-hmm.
Dude uses a very unsharp sword to try and hit her.
She runs, falls, and then crouches behind this like small little tree. And they keep doing this thing when I touch it. They do these slow pans.
Slow pan away from her into the dark, and then pans back to her, and this dog runs by.
Startles her, she screams, and she's got this look of, she's just terrified.
She's like, I just screamed, and he's gonna know exactly where I am.
It's like, oh shit, I hope he didn't hear me.
Yeah, well, he has a very unsharp sword, so we're assuming she got hacked up into pieces.
He shows up and he just smacks the tree, and the sword bounces off.
Yeah, it just goes thunk.
Because he like drops to his knees and takes a half-ass swing, and it just goes ding. It's like, alright. Can cut through a head and a spine, but not a wooden tree. Okay.
When I first saw this movie, that's what made me think there could be multiple people involved. Mm-hmm. But then I thought, oh, no, it's just a bad prop.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the principal is dealing with a lot of phone calls.
Yeah. Parents are calling.
Yeah, and his assistant keeps transferring them to the principal, and he's like, please stop with these phone calls. Tell him whatever you want. Lie to him. I don't care. Just make the phone calls stop.
Yeah, she tells him, if I knew what to tell these parents, I'd have your job.
So then you see her take a couple more phone calls and be like, yeah, he'll be right with you. And he goes, God damn it! With every time she says, yeah, he's available, he gets more and more pissed off.
And then he goes in there, he screams, and after that she goes, are you there, Mr. Guglione? It's Mrs. Johnson on line 2. She's loving the fact that he's so stressed and pissed off. She's like, this is the job you signed up for, deal with it.
Yeah.
It's all the dead students' parents calling, like, they didn't come home. Where the hell are they?
And
he needs to have answers.
He's like, they're seniors, it's graduation day, or the night previous, so of course they're going to be out doing things, getting wild, whatever. They're old enough to be leaving home anyway, so it's really not a big deal. Well, we also see the music teacher flirting with yet another student.
Hey, you should come by the club I'm playing at sometime. I'll tell everybody you're my student. Oh, that would be so fun. Creep. Predator. Where's Chris Hansen to pop out and be like, hey, we got these letters you've been mailing her.
Right? Fuck.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Well, Inspector Holliday goes to see the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens?
They have an exchange over how,
it's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
The inspector says, I don't want to be at the school. I just want to write the report and just get this over with.
He's already like, look, it's a bunch of high school kids. I don't care. They're probably off being stupid. And even the principal's like, yeah, they're being stupid. This is, it's fly or fall at this point. They're getting kicked out of the nest. So, they're out having one last blast before the real world hits them in the face. But Halliday and the principal have this exchange where it's like, Inspector Halliday, I'm here about the kids. And the principal looks at him and goes, Halliday, you don't look Irish. You look Italian. Halliday goes, I'm Lebanese. He goes, you look Lebanese. And then they have this exchange about the kids where they're both on the same page, like, they're a bunch of dumb fucking kids. They'll show up at some point.
Yeah.
Halliday doesn't seem into doing this. He's like, I got stuck with the shit assignment.
Yeah.
So from there...
We see the pole vault.
Dude's getting ready. He's going to pole vault. I'm assuming it's to take his mind off of everything else. Like, my friends are missing. Laura's dead. We're graduating.
I'm facing my future.
Yeah, I'm just
why
gonna
not?
pole vault.
Yeah.
He gets ready, starts running, clears the pole.
And then you hear, ah!
And then we get these flash cuts of a stopwatch, and this guy's body is impaled on these spikes that were put on the mat with a pad he's going to crash off.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice this last time we watched, but this time, they show the stopwatch for a little bit, and it's counting down from 25 seconds. As they pan over the body, you see the spikes through his legs and his torso, the shallow breathing. The killer stops the stopwatch when I think that's Pete, finally stops breathing, which is exactly 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that, and I'm like, that's a nice touch. The killer was waiting. I was like, you're not breathing anymore? 30 seconds.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, okay.
And then the principal does coke in front of the inspector?
Yeah, they cut to a trophy case, and Halliday's like, oh, it's a shame about Coach Michaels, and the principal's like, yeah, but, that's what you get for being in the public life. You're only as good as your last mistake. And Halliday's popping, like, Tic Tacs or something constantly, like breath mints or something. And the principal just walks up and, like, is doing coke in front, like, pours out his hand and licks it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as Halliday walks away, doesn't even give a shit this guy's doing this.
No.
Principal does more.
Yeah. Then the inspector goes to see the coach.
Yeah, Coach Michaels.
Coach is not in a good mood.
He's sitting at one of the tables in the workshop. I think it's his desk, actually.
Yeah.
He's got his bag there. His head's hung down. You can see he's just defeated. It's like, I lost my job. My life is over. Everyone thinks I'm a killer.
Mm-hmm.
So Halliday walks up and he's like, basically like, so how's it going? Like, well, in case you haven't heard, I was canned.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, yeah, I did hear that. The amount of people who just don't give a shit about anyone in this movie?
No.
Oh my god. And the last thing Halliday says to the coach is, well, I guess I'll see you at the graduation ceremonies. And then just kind of was like, oh, that was awkward, but
bye.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And the coach just looks over and kind of like smiles and is like, you fucking dick.
Yep. Meanwhile, the girls...
Well, before there, the coach starts emptying out his desk because he told Halliday, he goes, if you'll excuse me, I gotta pack up my things and get out of here.
That's true.
Opens his desk drawer to pull out a pair of black gloves, a stopwatch, and a necklace that looks oddly familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Looks exactly like the one Sally was wearing when she ran into Anne. And she hung up in her locker.
Yeah.
Puts those in his bag, and now we cut to the locker room where Vanna White and her friend are they going back and forth about somebody showing up at some party that night and like, oh, she's a bitch. She's going to be some prima donna. Oh my god. Ha 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 ha. What do they come across, Leanne?
Well, she gets into her locker and she notices that there's blood on one of the other lockers.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes around touching it like, one does. Why not touch the blood?
Yeah.
And then the locker opens and what's-her-face falls out. Sally's dead body.
She opens the locker after she calls her friend over and they're like, it's blood. They're like freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Out falls Sally.
And then the coach is behind that glass.
In the office area.
Staring.
Changed into a gray tracksuit for some reason.
Mm.
So I'm not sure if he was headed out to run or if he was just like, you know what, I'm tired of these slacks in this button-down shirt. I'm going to get more comfortable since I lost my job.
Yeah.
They're freaking out. He walks in there and checks Sally, I guess checking to see if she has a pulse. Like, she hasn't gotten up by now. These girls are freaking out. They're like, oh my god, no, don't kill us. Oh, he's going to try and kill us.
Yeah, they start screaming.
In runs
Kevin.
From out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He tells the girls, he goes, get out of here, go! And he starts fighting with Coach Michaels.
Gets a few good hits in.
Cut to the girls running out. They're like, help, help, Coach Michaels tried to kill us. He killed Sally. They're yelling. Anne's over there like, I don't know if she was flirting or just chatting with this group of high school boys. Like,
I don't
having a
know.
good time, smiling, and then she's like, oh, what's going on over there? What's happening? And these girls are running, and they're like, well, who's got him? Like, we don't know. He's in there. He's got Coach Michaels. And they're like, who? And they're like, just go. Cut back. As, well, first we see Halliday and McGregor start running to make their way to the locker room. Go back to the locker room. Kevin and Michaels are fighting, and you hear Kevin tell the coach, I'm not going to let you get away this time.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, he's mad about Laura. Okay, this is that whole thing. Everyone's like, you killed Laura, you're a piece of shit. So it's like, okay, that's her boyfriend. He's like, I'm not letting you get away this time.
Yep.
Coach Michaels gets the upper hand, slams Kevin into the lockers a few times, turns him around and just backhands him. Kevin falls to the floor. Coach Michaels runs out. That's where we're at now.
Yeah, Coach kind of goes crazy. Oh, no, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, never mind. I was going ahead. I already know what happens, so.
Yeah, we have to be careful.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's where we're at. There's not really any other little touches other than what we talked about. The principal going crazy is pretty fun.
Yeah.
He's just losing his shit.
Yeah.
We got like 20 minutes left.
Should we finish it? Yeah.
I think we just finish it out and then we'll come back,
give our final thoughts.
Our final thoughts for you guys, and yeah. Do our plugs and everything else, and
we do our plugs.
Yeah, I do my plugs.
Yeah.
And you do your typical sign off, but yeah, we'll get back to it. So you guys listen to this intermission, and then you'll get to hear our lovely voices once again.
We hope you're enjoying yourself. You have 5 minutes to visit our refreshment stand.
And just like that, we have once again finished graduation day.
Yeah.
We got our diplomas.
Oh. We should have gotten 2.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. So, there's a whole bunch of chasing going on.
Whole bunch.
Let's see. Coach is going toward the girls, and Kevin's going toward the coach, and Anne's going towards the inspector, and the inspector's like, what's your stake in this?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, why is she everywhere?
She's everywhere. It's really weird that she's everywhere.
Well, Kevin and the coach catch up to each other somehow.
Before we get there, the coach runs off. The inspector and McGregor show up in the locker room with Anne.
Oh, yeah.
And they discover Sally lying there. Anne's checking on Kevin. She goes, hey, can you cover the body over there, please? You can tell she's like distraught seeing this dead girl there. Probably brings back visions of her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Halliday sends McGregor to go find something to cover her up. She's checking on Kevin. Halliday looks at Anne and he goes, come here. Do you recognize anyone in this photo?
Why would he ask her that?
I think because he's seen her around and he's like, obviously you must know something.
Yes.
She's
like, yeah, I know all those kids.
That's the track team. Every person on the photo's face is X'd out, except for Coach Michaels and Kevin, who were the last 2 suspects we have.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut to now. We have Kevin chasing down Michaels, getting closer. Well, Michaels stumbles because he's looking back, falls. And who does he discover? But Ralph.
Yeah.
Who's been dragged out of the bushes, which were very dark, into the middle of this forested area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, typical slasher style, somebody wanting to show off what they've done. And here comes Kevin to confront the coach.
Yeah, he says, your killing days are over. I watched you kill her. Oh, well, because the coach is like, hey, it's not what it looks like. I didn't kill this person. I didn't kill anybody. He's like, I watched you kill Laura. And you have to be punished. You all have to be punished. And we're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's Kevin.
The coach is like, I never killed anybody. And Kevin goes into that whole monologue of, you all killed her. So you all had to be punished. And the coach is like, wait a second. You? He goes, yeah. Everybody. He lists off the names.
He admits to killing all of them.
He pulls out a stopwatch. If you have more notes, I'll let you go.
Yeah, of course I've got more notes.
Go right ahead.
Well, the coach bitch slaps him.
Yeah.
And then, Kevin goes into this spiel about it took you 30 seconds for you to kill her. And so, that's why he's always using a stopwatch, because each killing takes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Kevin attacks the coach, and this is where I get blurry.
He attacks the coach. The coach blocks the incoming attack, because Kevin has not only pulled out a stopwatch and is telling him, 28 seconds, oh, you're dead. Mm-hmm. He pulls a knife out from an ankle holster.
Okay.
Goes to stab the coach. The coach deflects it.
Mm-hmm.
Grabs Kevin's arm and does a judo throw, which makes Kevin drop the knife. Coach picks it up. Okay, I'm grabbing this so you don't have a chance to get back up with it.
That's when the inspector shows up.
Yeah.
Pow, pow, pow.
Michaels. And Michaels looks up at him and he just shoots, seeing him he has a knife in his hand. He's like, oh, obviously he's the killer.
Obviously. And no one suspects Kevin at all.
Nope. He's dropped the coach. Anne and Halliday. Briefly before this, Anne catches up to Halliday. She goes, we have to find him. We have to catch up to them. And he goes, what's your stake in all of this? Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't answer. As far as we know, she doesn't answer.
Yeah. Well, then, apparently, all that is over with. And we see Anne talking to Blondie.
Yeah, she's like, you work with somebody? You just never know. It's so crazy. It's like, oh my god, can you believe it? Anne's like, no, it's weird. Can I have Laura's trophy and diploma?
It's weird that you're asking that because Kevin came and got it.
She's like, he did? She's like, yeah. He told me that you sent him, Anne, to pick it up.
He's not a liar, right?
Anne just goes, oh no. You've known him all the 24 hours. You don't know anything about him.
No.
So this prompts Anne to head to Kevin's house.
Yeah. And so she walks into the house. Grandma is apparently out cold. She's taken a really long nap.
Yeah.
Anne slowly makes her way upstairs, sees a door, decides that's Kevin's bedroom. She goes into the bedroom. He's got a typical bedroom. He also happens to have a lot of swords.
Yeah. Fencing foils, there's axes, all sorts of knives and weapons in this room.
Yeah, and he sees someone sitting in the chair wearing, graduation getup, and she's like, hey, excuse me, I have a question. And she realizes, holy shit, that's my sister. Oh my god.
Yeah. And she starts freaking out. But there was one cool shot as she's coming in the room, after it pans from one part of the room where we don't see where Laura's sitting. Hands over, it comes back to Anne, and she's walking by this dresser as she notices somebody sitting there. Up on the wall above the stereo is the sword he used to decapitate Tony and Dolores.
Mm-hmm.
So I read in the trivia, Dolores was decapitated, they just didn't have Linnea Quigley's head because she was cast so much later after the other actress was fired.
Okay.
So she starts screaming, hand covers her mouth. Oh boy, it's Kevin!
Yep.
It's like, Grandma can't hear you.
He's like, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah. He goes, Grandma can't hear you. And Laura likes it quiet. Ugh.
And he goes on this spiel about how they're going to get married and everybody wanted to hurt her and all this stuff.
He goes, you should be the first one to kiss the bride. She's like,
what?
Bride? What?
Bride? We're going to get married.
Yeah, today after graduation. She's like, and he's like, oh.
You're just like
what's
them.
Wrong? She's your own flesh and blood.
Yeah.
You're like them. You don't deserve to live either.
Nope.
And you can see the crazy in his eyes, even more now.
Yeah, and they tussle a little bit.
He picks up a knife. They're circling around Laura in this, rocking chair.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to take a swipe at her. Anne ducks down and in so bumps into this rocking chair, throwing Laura out into Kevin.
And out the window.
And out the window. Of the second story window where his bedroom is.
Yeah.
And when she looks out, he's down on the ground next to Laura's corpse. There's obviously blood. She's like, okay, he's probably dead. She makes her way to the front door.
And Kevin's bringing Laura in through the front door.
Seems oblivious to her standing there. She takes a second and watches and then is like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm. And then she runs.
Yeah, and you said she had this type of run that she really thought.
Yeah, she has a really good I'm running because I just saw my dead sister's corpse dressed up vibe.
Yeah, it's really good. It's not this, I'm running to get away from a killer. And they intercut her running with slow dissolves of Laura's last run.
Yeah.
It was like, while Anne's running essentially towards life, we're getting the parallel of Laura who was running to death.
Yeah.
We're seeing shots of the crowd's reaction as Laura's screaming and falling and everything happening. Anne makes her way to the bleachers on the track. Sits there for a moment, like to gather herself. She's like, I'm out of breath, I'm tired, I've been running essentially across town to get back to the school.
Guess who shows up?
We get a killer POV.
It's Kevin!
And once the camera stops with walking motions, we see Kevin move into frame, and you just see some blood dripping down, like, behind his ear and his neck. And he gets into this stance, like, I'm gonna cut you, I'm gonna fight you, like a knife fight stance.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, nope, runs up these steps, down the other side, underneath the bleachers.
And she starts seeing some stuff.
Yep.
Well, some people.
I'm trying to figure out what was the first thing she saw.
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but she's running. She's kind of using the structure of the bleachers to put distance between her and Kevin. He's trying to get her. She runs behind this, like, gate and is trying to hold it shut. He's too strong. He forces his way through, pushes her back onto these, like, crash pad looking things. And he's pushing her head, and as he's turning her head, she notices that, oh, there's a severed head of this girl next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Which turned out that was made of the first actress who was playing Dolores that was recast with Linnea Quigley. Therefore, that was supposed to be.
Got it.
But obviously it wasn't. So they're like, yeah, we're just not saying who that was. It's just random person.
You don't
random
need to know.
student that's dead.
Yeah.
So she freaks out from that, kicks Kevin off, runs over to this, like, shed where there's, like, groundskeeper tools. She grabs the door, throws it back into Kevin, knocking him back. But hanging on the inside of this door is old pole vaulter Pete.
Yeah.
Just hanging there with all these spikes still sticking out from him.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin gets between Anne and this dead body. You know, basically like a homemade Iron Maiden almost.
Mm-hmm.
And he, you know, tries to stab her again because he's picked up his knife at this point because he dropped it at one point. Goes to get her. She uses more of her military training to, you know, deflect his attack and push him back right into Pete.
Yep.
And I think it's best if you kind of describe this because, well, I'll describe it. He backs up and gets, essentially, he skewers himself on Pete unintentionally.
He is skewered.
And there's a look on his face. That's
just like, I think I'm gonna die in a minute. That's not where something is supposed to be stabbing me.
Yeah. He kind of, you know, forces himself off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And they show his back, and it's just a few holes that have been made. There's just a few spots of blood. So it only hits several pieces, but enough to where it's punctured some major stuff.
Absolutely.
And as he's stumbling forward, you picked this up before, and you were telling me about it after we watched it last night. He drops his knife, but it's not like a drop the knife of like, oh, it's over. It's like the nerves in his hand gave out.
Yeah, it was like his body's instinct to just drop, like, let go. And I'm like, what if that's nerve damage? Like, that's really believable to me.
Because, like, both of his hands were, like, going kind of weird. Like, he was holding them up to his chest, like, almost like a what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he falls to the ground.
A really good death scene.
Makes these last-minute adjustments, like somebody...
Yeah, so as he stands and he falls, like, face first into the ground. And as he's laying there, he's adjusting his body slightly. Like, it's really gross to say this, but it's realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're dying, not that I would know, it's just realistic. Let's just say it looks realistic.
Like last minute, trying to get in a comfortable position.
Yeah, you're like, oh fuck, I'm really uncomfortable. And then he just kind of stops. And I'm like, that's the perfect death scene.
It's almost like as he was moving, things were tense, and then you just see everything just kind of relax in the final position.
A lot of movies like to make death scenes very dramatic and over the top, and that isn't how it works most of the time.
Yeah.
This time, it really nailed it. I was very impressed with this actor.
It was really well done.
Yeah.
He not only nailed, like, the broken boyfriend aspect, but that death was really good.
Yeah, I'm really impressed.
On a second viewing, I'm like, damn, this is really good.
Yeah.
So after that, we don't get any of the bullshit with the cops showing up.
No, not necessary.
If this movie was made in modern times, we would have had the cops show up, the sirens going, it would have been a faded out sound, and Anne would have been like at the back of an ambulance talking to police and stuff. Kevin's body would have been taken out along with all the other bodies and stuff. We didn't get any of that. We just get a dissolve. We cut back to Anne talking to her mom in Laura's room, and she's like, and I was like, oh, isn't it just terrible? But can't you stay one more day, Anne? She's like, no, I have to really be on the plane tomorrow. I mean, she took military leave. She can't just go, no, I'll take a couple extra days.
Yeah, so she's leaving the next day.
Yeah, she's getting ready to leave the next day. While they're talking...
She needs to have a good night's sleep, though.
Yeah. While they're talking, you hear Ronald from somewhere in the house go, where's my vodka? And her mom just immediately puts on this, like, fake smile. Like, oh, that's just Ronald. She's like, okay, well, good night, dear. You have a good night's sleep. Anne goes to the edge of the bed and sits down and starts setting the alarm for the morning. We cut to a little bit later in the evening. She's asleep in bed. And we get another one of these slow pans, which I have to say, I've really liked the way they use this slow pan in this movie because it builds tension in the most simple way. We slowly pan to the door of Laura's room and then back to Anne in bed. And then we just hear the door get kicked open. And in comes stumbling this figure. And out of the shadows, it's Kevin, holding a knife. And he just says,
risen from the dead.
Dug her up from the grave.
Yeah.
Then you see the mom walking casually. She goes, you did? Then turns on the light. She goes, you should be ashamed. You woke up Anne. And it's Ronald holding the bottle of vodka.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, don't know why you even came here. Nothing but trouble. Cause nothing but trouble.
Meanwhile, Anne is laying in bed, terrified.
And she's screaming. She's like cowering, like, oh shit.
Traumatized.
And I was like, oh, you have to forgive him. He's been through a lot. It's like,
and no one else has? What the fuck?
And I will say this, last night I thought, and because it didn't go there, I was like, well, I'm not going to mention it. I thought there was going to be some sort of reveal at the end, or we would have found out that maybe Kevin was his son from some previous marriage and he didn't know.
Like maybe some backstory as to why he hates her fucking guts.
Yeah. And now on a second viewing, I'm like, I just like the fact that he's just a shitty stepdad.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of realistic.
Yeah.
A mom remarries. He may have, taken a shine to Laura, but had some sort of issue with Anne. I don't know if it's because she was strong and didn't take any of his shit.
Maybe Laura was his.
Maybe.
And Anne wasn't.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Because the dad wasn't around.
They probably were separated by several years in age. Because Laura was, we'll say 17, 18, going to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And hadn't been seen in 10 years, so if she graduates, so she's probably like 28, 29.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a good shot. Yeah, that could have definitely been the case. I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
Then all we see is Anne's at a cab the next day, waves to her mom. She's in her, formal Navy
her
outfit.
blues, yeah, and you can tell she's crying. She doesn't want to leave her mom, especially with that asshole.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll never see her mom again. You can just tell this is an emotional goodbye for her.
She kind of forces a smile, and you're smiling through the pain of, I may never come back here to see her again.
Yeah.
Simply because of that jerk.
Yeah.
And then this time what I did is I fast forward through the end of the credits because I was just curious. There's a stopwatch at the end of the credits, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And it clicks at 30 seconds. So I kind of want to go back and just watch the credits and time it myself and see if they take 30 seconds. Because if they actually do, pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
There was a little bit I want to talk about when Kevin confronted Coach Michaels. And he's like, we were going to get married. married! And he screams this scream and lunges at him. It's like, oh, shit. And the way Kevin goes from completely unhinged against the coach to when somebody else shows up and he just kind of pulls it back in, it's like, you're a true nutball.
Yep.
You were fucking out of your head, but you're able to pull it together enough for the cop to be like, hey, can you come down to this station, give a statement about what happened, tell us what he said to you? He's like, oh, yeah. And when Ann goes, oh, I'll go with you, he's like, no, I don't want to drag you into this. It's like, was he thinking in that moment to protect her from everything? Because he's like, I know I did it. I need to be able to get myself out of this so I can go back to Laura. There's little things now that I'm picking up. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I think we both enjoyed this on a second watch. I know.
Yes. I enjoyed the second watch. However, my rating did go down for rewatchability.
I think I'm there with you. So I want to ask you first, what is your...
I think I gave it a 3.5.
You gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4. Okay, I'll give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Just because the rewatchability, the rewatchability isn't there.
Yeah. This is out of 5. This is out of 5 pole vault Pete's on pins.
Yes.
My rating did go down a little bit. I gave it a 4.5 initially. I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah.
Rewatchability isn't high, but this is one that you could put on, like, if you're hanging out on Halloween with a bunch of friends, you put this on in the background. It's a lot of fun.
Exactly.
I think it's a Skewered Universe recommend.
Absolutely.
And approved.
Hopefully I won't have to watch it again anytime soon.
No, I'm going to make sure we don't have to. So I think on a third watch, we're going to be like, you know what? 3 times in a row?
For a long time, we were like, oh no, who's the killer? Then we were like, oh shit, Kevin's the killer. The end.
I did tell you on this rewatch, there's certain scenes where if you look closely, you can kind of make out Kevin's face.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going in, you don't know, you're not going to look for that.
Yeah.
And there was one cool thing. There was a fencing mask in Kevin's room, which I didn't pick up on the first watch.
Yeah.
So that was a cool little like, oh, he just had all of this around. I was like, I'm going to use what I have on hand. So with that said, I got some plugging to do. I'm gonna
some butt plugging.
Some butt plugging. Get ready and prepare yourselves. Grab that lube. No, I'm kidding. I'll save that for Saturdays with JB. So anyway, you can catch Skewered Universe Podcast on all podcast platforms. We are on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify.
I didn't know my duck game made noise.
Well, now you and the audience knows your duck game makes noise. Amazon Music, YouTube, it's audio-only episodes right now, but if you head over to skeweredhead.com, you can find links to all of our social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, Threads, as well as TikTok. If you head over to TikTok, we are skewered_you horror podcast. I have posted up some stuff over there. Been a little lax on it lately, but mostly because we caught COVID a few weeks back and it kind of just slowed everything down.
It really slowed everything down.
So I'm going to be getting back to that. But if you're not a person who's on TikTok, you don't want to download the app, I totally understand. That same content is available on YouTube as shorts. So just look for the official Skewered Universe channel on YouTube. You can find that stuff there. And while you're at skeweredhead.com, you can check out my blog. You can check out the Patreon link where you can support the show, get transmissions episodes, and audio commentaries. We're looking for good movies that we've seen to be able to provide you some quality, fun audio commentaries. Every Saturday, I do a live show at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern with my boy JB. It is called Tales from the Podcast, and we are currently getting ready to dive into Season 3 of Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know, that little Nickelodeon show that was on Saturday nights? That's what we're doing. We got 7+ seasons, I believe, to go through that. So we're getting ready for Season 3. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got some guests lined up for those shows. So that's going to be fun. We also have a video game, Tales from the Podcast, the fucking video game.
Not a porn video game.
Not a porn video game. It is a retro-style turn-based RPG game where you go about a map. You play as myself, JB, and our former co-host, Ron. You control the party to go through the town of Grungetown to stop some asshole filmmakers from making a movie nobody wanted. A horror movie, mind you, that nobody wanted. Through that game, you're going to encounter frat boy douchebags. You're going to have to do dance fighting, beat up homeless people to take their money. It's not really cool to do that, but in the game, it kind of makes sense. You gotta visit hookers to create your save points in the game. There's lots of horror references, lots of retro video game references, and also the currency in that game, for those of you who grew up in the 90s, you remember Pogs? That's the currency in this game. Hey, Leanne, do you want to know how you revive your party in Tales from the Podcast, the fucking video game?
Give them blowjobs?
That would come after, but you give them boner pills to bring them back.
Okay.
That is the elixir of life in our game. So you can pick that up. $10 via PayPal donation. You can use the email talesfromthepodcast13@gmail.com. If you don't have PayPal, we also have Cash App. Just send an email to the aforementioned email address, and either JB or myself will get back to you, let you know what the Cash App is, and we will send you a version of that game. Now, mind you, this game is not available on Steam. That costs money that we just don't have to put out right now. But we will send you the download file. Once you download the game, it is yours to keep. You don't need any launchers, no online connection. It is a single-player game, so you cannot play with friends, but it's still a lot of fun. Trust me, I tested the game for hours. Multiple hours before we released, working out all the bugs, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I had fun every time I did it. So you can get that, as I said, $10. And for those of you who want a little extra help getting through, there is Cheatbot access for $5 more. We will send you the code. The only thing we ask is that if you pay for that code, you do not share it with anybody who you know may also have the game. Just be cool with us. We'll be cool with you. So $5 for that. Pick up the game. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. It is only for PC. It is not mobile, but there's a lot of you out there who got gaming PCs. Pick this game up. It's a lot of fun. If you need any more information about the game, just email me directly at skewarduniversepodcast@gmail.com. I'll be happy to point you in that direction. And a couple other things that I did recently. I was on episode 209 of At the Devil's Ball with Sammael and Nathaniel. We talked about George A. Romero's 1985 classic Day of the Dead, which is my favorite of the Romero trilogy, that original trilogy, mind you. And a couple weeks ago, I was on Uncle Ron Presents. Former co-host Tales from the Podcast, Ron, has his YouTube channel, and we did the Nightmare on Elm Street trivia. I was face-to-face with Josh, or Seraph, once again, who I took on last year in the Friday the 13th trivia and lost my ass. So head over to his channel, see how I did, and keep your eyes open because it looks like we're going to be doing Halloween trivia based on the movie Halloween next month on Halloween. Just going to confirm that, but I'll throw it out there now just in case that does happen. Man, that was a lot of talking in a short amount of time. Am I Excalibur from AEW?
No.
Stay tuned, the action will be right here in picture.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not.
I didn't talk
I don't need a spit guard.
So that said, that's where you can get all that stuff. Leanne, do you have anything you want to tell the lovely people who've listened to us do this a second time?
Yeah, thank you for listening, and I'm sorry if I don't sound very enthusiastic. I've already seen the damn movie. I don't want to see it again. Anyway, we love you. Thank you for listening. And thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
All right, with that said, get your caps and gowns. Make sure you grab your diploma with the left, shake with the right. Don't pole vault into beds and nails. And for God's sakes, don't grab your high school girlfriend's body out of her grave and put it in your room.
Don't kill people.
And keep enjoying that universe. It's just a bit. Steward.
Woohoo, I'm excited.